With that fiery confluence in the sideboard, I think that's probably right.
Yeah.
Here we go. They are going into game 2.
Yeah, so Mike Wahlio is just good at Magic. Like he's been again a notorious legend or legacy player here in our area, but I can't imagine again over the span of a year going to 4 different tournaments and potentially getting to 4 top 8s of a Legacy 1K of these large 1Ks with 4 different decks. Like Legacy is very much a format of play what you know.
Yeah. Play what you know, and then, but also rewards you for knowledge of the whole field too, which clearly Michael has that kind of knowledge. So
definitely, if it's play what you know, he knows Legacy.
Yeah.
So that's what he's playing.
Michael taking a look at his notes here, sideboarding notes. How will he board against Sneak and Show? What are you bringing in the Grixis Delver matchup against Sneak and Show?
Well, you got to kind of load up a little bit probably on some counter magic. You probably have Cabal Therapies in your sideboard, which I would be bringing in. Using the elemental tokens in order to try to cast them off of the Young Pyromancers, things like that. Because they're a pretty big game because you need to really force Brian into top deck mode. Once you force him into top deck mode, you need to close out the game before he can find his outs.
And we saw Michael or Kelvin with at least one Diabolic Edict, and Michael may also have something like Diabolic Edict, which is also pretty good in this matchup.
Yeah, it seems good. And it seems like a card that's been on the uprise now. As people are trying to go into more of these Randomers or Sneak and Show decks, I've seen a lot more Diabolic Edicts the last month and a half than I've seen probably almost ever before.
Yeah. And how about Brian Bennett? What's he bringing in against Grixis Delver?
So that's a very interesting option. I'm not totally familiar with the sideboard for the Sneak and Show decks.
We could be looking at Spell Pierces, perhaps.
Yeah, you gotta find like kind of the counter magic war winners. Like so, Spell Pierce works for that. Potentially things like Dispel or.
Sneak and Show has also played Defense Grids too.
Defense Grid could also work, yeah.
Of course, we may see Pyroblast out of Sneak and Show or Red Elemental Blast. Those types of cards.
The other option, of course, is to just go fast. Although he's got to be really careful about days. Days could be really big in the early turns to keep you off of the fast combo decks.
Right, yeah, of course. Flusterstorm is also ever present in Sneak and Show sideboards. We might see a couple copies of those or a copy of that. So
it'll be interesting to see how this shakes down.
Yeah, Brian, of course, up a game against Michael. And this is our last round of Swiss, and whoever wins this match makes it into the top 8.
Yeah.
And whoever loses it is out.
Wow.
Simple.
Stakes were never higher.
You're either in the top 8 here or you're not, and it's going to go down to this game if you're Michael Wahlio. You must win.
Yeah, top 8 or go home.
Opening 7s for our players. Michael sees a no-lander, and that's probably going back. Cabal Therapy, Force of Will, looked so nice, except for the no-land.
No lands, yeah. Can't really win with no lands. Well, I was going to say in Legacy, but that's actually not true.
Not true.
Not with this Grixis Delver deck.
Correct, yes, yeah. And here's Brian. It looks like he's got a keepable hand. I see a Sneak Attack, a Lotus Petal, a few lands. I did not see a creature in there, so he may have to dig for a creature to sneak in. 6 for Michael.
It'd be interesting. Would you leave in Stifle in this Grixis Delver list with your sideboard?
I'm probably leaving in Stifle, yeah. On the play, especially.
Yeah,
I think
it hits enough,
Stifle.
but
yeah, not for Sneak Attack. The card is, you could do that. Grizzlebrand activation or those early fetch lands. And there's a Delver flipping for Michael off of a Pyroblast. His turn 1 Delver. Coming in Insectile Aberration and swinging for 3.
Yeah, that Pyroblast is a pretty big game, and the best thing about that is that you showed it to your opponent, and I love showing cards like that to your opponent because now they have to play around it with everything they do because they know you have it.
Right. A little information for Brian there, knowing slightly what he needs to play around. Force of Will to draw for Michael, and he's off to a great start here.
Yeah, he managed to draw himself into a couple answers, and his turn 1 blind Delver flip really paying off for him.
There's a swing for 3. Brian's at 14. A pair of islands for Brian as he takes the draw. There's a fetch land. Lotus Petal. Let's crack this fetch land. And I think Brian's going for it with this sneak attack here.
It makes sense. You just have to hope that Michael doesn't have the Force of Will.
And
or
perhaps,
Daze.
And it looks like Michael has a pair of Force of Wills and that Pyroblast. So if he does Force, he'll be able to support his Force with the Pyroblast in case of other counter magic.
Yeah.
It looks like Brian's got quite a few cards, and he actually had a Show and Tell in hand, and he's going to play it.
Yeah, he's going to go for that route. Here comes a Pyroblast.
Pyroblast, your Show and Tell.
He's going to get Force of Will.
Force of Will, Invocation Force of Will.
Just because you can't read it doesn't mean it doesn't work.
And here comes a Brainstorm from Michael. He's going to look for perhaps another blue card for his Force of Will.
I like this. It lets you potentially hold on to your Force of Will.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
But Brian has an answer for this card. It's a Spell Pierce. He's going to Spell Pierce the...
Oh, he's debating.
Spell Pierce the Brainstorm, and importantly, that's going to leave Michael with Force for Force.
Ah. Yeah, so Brian almost won this counterspell battle with that Spell Pierce. Unfortunately, Michael's showing that he had backup answers to backup answers.
And Show and Tell's not going to resolve. Brian with an Emrakul in hand and a Sneak Attack.
Ouch.
And our players otherwise have nothing going. Michael's got this Delver, and Brian's going to need to deploy this Sneak Attack in time to have a shot.
Yeah, and he's got to find a mana. Unfortunately, him trying to fight that counter war there cracked his Lotus Petal, which took him off of that 4th mana. On the plus side for Brian, he knows that Michael is likely out of answers. So if he can find a way to play this Force of Will, he might be able to get to activate it before...
Or the Sneak Attack, yeah.
Or Sneak Attack, excuse me, yeah. Might be able to get it underneath the answers of Michael before he draws out of it.
Looks like a Force of Will, a Blood Moon, and a Lotus Petal from Brian Bennett. And that Lotus Petal may be just what he's looking for, even if he doesn't want to see those other cards.
Yeah. Gonna
pass the turn. Michael's holding up just a land. 3-turn clock with that Delver of Secrets. I'm not sure what he drew.
Another
second
land.
land for Michael, and Brian's going to be able to resolve this Sneak Attack, and next turn he could be sneaking in an Emrakul.
Here we go. So Michael has to find a Lightning Bolt or an out to Sneak Attack.
There's the Delver, swing for 3.
Has
Just
to
a
make a
third
third
land for
land.
Michael.
No,
3 lands in a
Michael.
row, and I think this is going to...
This is it.
Well, Michael's not going to be dead yet.
No, that's very fair. And it means that a Lightning Bolt off the top is still lethal because he has the land in hand.
Right.
So Michael goes to 3.
So, it'll be 4, yep.
Or 4, yeah.
And Brian passes the turn, a Blood Moon, and we also know he has a Force of Will.
Graveyard should shuffle in.
Oh, we will go and make sure that that gets done. Michael plays an Underground Sea.
All right, we get that
And
fixed.
we're going to make sure that they shuffle before... there was a...
He caught it, okay.
Okay.
Got it in time.
All right, so we're going to shuffle up. That card did not join his hand.
Yeah. Close one. That's actually to Brian's benefit. A, he didn't want the next card.
Right.
As well as it gives him another Emrakul to draw.
Right, yeah. Important trigger to remember. I didn't quite see what Michael drew for the turn, so we're wondering if he's got 4 lands in a row for his draws. Oh, it's a Brainstorm. He's got a fetch land in hand, so that'll be a good Brainstorm. Here's a Blood Moon, though.
So Michael's fine with this. He's literally just drawing into a Lightning Bolt.
Right, yeah.
Like, find me a Lightning Bolt. I don't care if it's a mountain. And he found
There's a Lightning Bolt. The Lightning Bolt was on top, and Brian... but Brian has a Force of Will Invocation, plus I think he just drew an Omniscience.
Oh, no!
So Brian has the answer
Oh, no!
to Michael's lightning bolt. I'm sure Michael was ecstatic that he drew this lightning bolt. But Brian has an answer, and we're going to just prolong the game a little bit. That's all. That's all. It'll just be a little bit longer. Michael will need to find another lightning bolt.
He's going to daze the Blood Moon. Okay.
Daze the Blood Moon will turn out to be the wrong play.
Yeah.
Because here's the lightning bolt, and I'm going to force that, says Brian. And you thought you had me, but...
So, Michael has a Gitaxian Probe and a land, but he knows the top cards of his library, I believe land and one other card.
Okay.
Just going to Gitaxian Probe.
Probe you.
Yeah.
Draw my land. It's a fetch land, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
And here's Brian with a Ponder. He just needs to find a creature here. He's looking for a Griselbrand or Emrakul. Neither card on top does have another Ponder.
Yeah, Chat makes a good point. If the Blood Moon resolved, he can't daze.
Oh. Chat, great point.
Good points.
Good point.
Get in your chat, you're keeping us honest. So he's looking to see what he sideboarded out. I wonder what's in these top 3 cards that would make him curious. I think he's maybe he's thinking about shuffling. And that's what he's going to do.
There's a shuffle from Brian.
Yeah, so probably just trying to gauge what are my percentages if I shuffle versus maybe pitching away like another Ponder or something. Or a Brainstorm, most likely. If it's another Ponder, you just draw that and then Ponder again. But oh, man. So Michael knows the top card on top of his library. So will likely do not much next turn.
Okay, Michael cutting for Brian. Took a peek at the top. It's a Spell Pierce. Not the threat he's looking for.
Yeah.
And Michael also looking for anything
Finds another Brainstorm
to end the game. Both of our players at a precarious 2. 2 life for each of them.
Michael's just like, why? Why you do like this?
There's a Ponder from Brian.
Still
A Show and Tell and a couple lands. Not what Brian's looking for.
Looks like yeah. Oh man.
Michael holding on to just one fetch land in hand. Both of our players are on 2. Again, this is a win it in for both players.
Yeah.
And Michael must win to stay in contention for the top 8.
Found a Pyroblast. Well, this will be an answer to that Show and Tell. Well, that's an Intuition.
Intuition
But
is
going to
do it.
Pyroblasted.
Except there's the counter spell. Both of our players in total top deck mode.
2 life apiece. Duking it out for top 8.
Is that a lightning bolt? It is.
Oh!
Michael with the windmill lightning bolt.
Oh!
That will take it.
Wow.
And it looks like they just handshook.
Maybe,
we'll make sure we're going to game 3.
Maybe, yeah.
It might have been Michael up a game against Brian. Are they going to game 3?
They are going to game 3.
Okay.
Handshake was just a good game.
Okay. Good game handshake. That was exciting.
Wow. That was crazy.
Really exciting finish.
Wow.
Top deck after top deck. Michael could have found just about any threat.
Yeah, right?
But the lightning bolt sealed the deal right there.
And the fact that it was like, he found the lightning bolt, but Brian had the answer. And then Brian found his threat, and then Michael had the answer. It was, even though you weren't drawing the thing that was winning the game, you were definitely drawing the cards that weren't losing you the game.
Just a perfect photo finish.
Wow.
For this, our last round of Swiss. These players are duking it out for a bid into the top 8.
Mono e mono. Michael v. Brian. Who will come out to the top 8?
Who shall emerge victorious? Moral story. Don't counter cantrips. Yeah, I mean, I think that there are some situations where, it's clear, it's fine to counter cantrips, but I think that it's interesting in this matchup because the cantrips have different degrees of value depending on what stage of the game we're in, right?
Yeah. Like, I agree, if you're Michael, you're not countering cantrips for Brian. However, if
Not
you're
a chance.
Brian, and especially in that scenario, you need to keep Michael from digging cards and finding his out. Because say he finds, a bolt and a fetch land, he might be able to overload your answers with more threats. So you just need to counter it, make sure, no, if you draw the threat off the top, you're just going to kill me anyway.
Yeah. As for what we know of the top 8 so far, we know for sure Neil Henley on, I believe, a blue-white-red deck, a sort of Stoneblade deck. We're not sure if it's a standstill. Is in. Josh Monks on Death and Taxes is in. And we also saw our match, Kelvin Wallace on Grixis Delver defeated Bant Deathblade of Richard Neal, and Kelvin Wallace is in.
And one of Gary McNeely or Michael Swallio will be in on Elves.
The Elves mirror match. Yeah. Looks like a mulligan for Brian, not the 7 he was looking for.
Wow, that last game was huge.
Unbelievable finish for that
Michael
game.
Fighting for his tournament life. Trying to make 4 top 8s, and I think the last 5 tournaments too.
Wow. That's great consistency.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And again, all of those have been with different decks. Just mind-boggling.
Let's see if he can make it in with Grixis Delver here. A lot on the line, a bid for top 8, a chance to make it to the Invitational, 24-player Invitational, one of our last 2 opportunities to qualify via a 1K. And of course, Michael on a hot streak, and a photo finish in game 2.
Yeah, you're not going to see it get any closer than that for either of these players.
6 for Brian Bennett.
Oh, it looks like that's a no-lander.
No lands, just a Lotus Petal. Probably not good enough. There's a Preordain, though, on hand. Lotus Petal Preordain's pretty hard to keep.
Yeah, no, we just got to ship that back, unfortunately. We'll go down and find what's in Michael's opening hand here. I saw a Force of Will and it looked like a Wasteland.
Yeah, and that's what I saw, too. Unfortunately, no landstill decks in contention for top 8 today.
No, yeah. It does help or hurt their cause, I guess, that Jordan was in the booth for today. He's usually our, I think he was like one of 2 people during the last 1K to be rocking the standstill, and they both made top 8.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Standstill, make it a comeback. In the form, whether it be blue-black or blue-white-red and white-bordered.
And white-bordered and horrendous. And shame felt by everybody and their family. All right, so Bennett's going to see what his 5-card hand looks like.
Sneak and Show and Grixis Delver. Which side would you rather be on, Chad, going into Game 3?
Oh.
Would you rather be on the Grixis Delver side or the Sneak and Show side? Mulligan to 5 notwithstanding. Here's the Mulligan to 5.
City of Traders, Ancient Tomb, Sneak and Show. Or not Sneak and Show, Show and Tell.
Show and Tell, yeah. It looks like he's going to bottom his Scry.
And
there's a
Fetchland.
Scalding Tarn. So Brian has all the requisite mana to play that Show and Tell, and it could be
And an Omniscience.
Omniscience. So a relevant card to... There's a Pithing Needle. And Brian let it pass without cracking the Scalding Tarn, and Michael will name the Scalding Tarn.
Maximum punish!
Unlike Phyrexian Revoker, which we saw 2 rounds ago, Phyrexian Revoker cannot name lands.
Yeah.
Pithing Needle can name lands, and if it resolves, you don't have an opportunity to crack in response.
Wow. Here's an Ancient Tomb.
So now, importantly, Brian has no access to blue mana because he has Ancient Tomb, City of Traders.
This is actually a very smart play, I think, from Michael. You know the Sneak and Show deck doesn't have a ton of ways to get blue mana, especially when your opponent mulls to 5.
And there's a Wasteland on the Ancient Tomb, and
Wow.
Michael's putting the screws in.
So he just needs to find a threat. Is that a Young Pyromancer? That is a Young Pyromancer. Second from the back in his hand.
Great threat, and there's a True Name Nemesis off the top.
Fetch.
We'll crack a Flooded Strand. And Michael's sitting in the driver's seat here with that heads-up Pithing Needle on a Scalding Tarn.
Yeah, like your opponent, your opponent mulligan down to 5. They probably don't have very many colored mana sources, and if they do, then they have to spend more cards out of their hand to do so. Looks like he has the Forcible backup should it come down to an early counter battle.
Right. So that turn 2 jammed Show and Tell wouldn't have resolved anyway, but Michael just putting the game really far out of reach with that play. And there's that young Pyromancer strategy exposed with that card underneath. And Brian's got to hope to find, wow. And he just drew Emrakul, Omniscience, Emrakul.
Wow, this is the worst beats.
That's not what you're looking for on your mold of 5.
And Michael has double Force Wills, Flusterstorm, Delver, True Name, Ponder.
That's probably exactly what you want in this situation.
His hand is the Legacy format.
That is true. There's a Ponder from Michael. He's going to make a token. Are you jamming Delver here, or are you going to slow your clock down so you can keep up Flusterstorm?
That's a good question. Depends if he finds a spell on top. I think you can just jam it. You have double Force of Will and enough blue cards to pitch that if you absolutely need to.
Mm-hmm. And you're going to go ahead and assume that your opponent is at least a couple turns out.
Yeah, and I'm assuming he just guaranteed. Yeah, he put a blue elemental blast on or red elemental blast on top of his library as well.
Yeah.
So he's going to guarantee he's going to have access to flip the Delver as well. Nope, he's going with Cabal
Therapy from Michael, and if
With
he
the
names
tokens.
the show and tell, Brian has a lot of draws to get to something relevant.
Yeah, I mean,
And here's the crazy part: Brian needs blue mana, right? At some point, right?
yeah.
And what you figure he's got maybe 3, 6, maybe 10 outs, right? But actually, no, he doesn't have 10 outs because his other 3 Scalding Tarns also are affected by the Piling Needle. He only has 7 outs to draw blue mana, and then he also has to be able to cast something.
Oh, that's just the worst.
And 7 is ambitious. That's assuming 4 Volcanics and 3 Islands.
Yeah, and now he has no more Sneak and Show, or I keep calling it Sneak and Show because it's the deck.
Show and Tell,
Show
right?
and Tell.
Yeah.
Because he was able to flashback the Cabal Therapy for free.
Yeah.
Sacrifice an elemental, get an elemental.
Yeah. So after our nail biter of a game 2, we are in game 3 of this win and Michael has Piling Needled. The Scaldings are amazing.
That was such an amazing read and such an amazing play there because again, you could easily divert to I need a call sneak attack.
Right.
But he knew where he was at in the game. He knew he had
Yep.
enough counter magic to back it up.
Brian had
And-
no response for the needle.
Yeah, he knew that his opponent was probably going to let the needle resolve anyway. So the moment it resolves, nail that Scalding Tarn.
Yeah.
And punish your opponent.
There's
Wow.
a Delver's Secrets from Michael, and that Cabal Therapy was probably a better play, right, on the last turn.
I agree. I did not
Right.
see that card in his hand.
Yeah, when neither of us did, yeah.
Yeah, especially with the Young Pyromancer out, it just being free to take a look at your opponent's hand and then also name.
Upkeep Delver, no
Found a-
flip.
And he found a Wasteland.
Wasteland, not particularly relevant against this needled Tarn,
The
but
main thing is that Brian now has to find a basic land. Because if not, that Wasteland gets to take him off of mana again, so he wouldn't be able to do anything.
so potentially 3 islands in his deck.
3 islands or Lotus Petals.
Got it. Oh, Lotus Petals are now, you're right.
But still,
And guess what Brian drew for a land?
another
Tarn.
Oh no!
Another Scalding Tarn.
He should just play it. Just for the feel bads. But nope, he's just going to shuffle in the Emrakul back into his library, give his library a good old shuffle. Brian's at 9. He's
And he's looking.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
There's
8,
a flip
9, 10.
and there's
That's
a
it.
bolt, so
That's lethal.
that'll do it this game.
That'll do.
Michael
That'll do.
Wallio
Wow.
with the win over Brian Bennett, and they're going to play it out because, of course, Brian could still have counter magic here.
Yeah.
There's a swing for 7.
Just making sure to cut.
Michael Wallio makes his 5th top 8 out of 6. Is that right?
4 out of 5.
His 4th out of 5. 4th in the last 5.
I believe, yeah.
One case.
He's definitely made 3 others. He's won all 3 of those. Or no, sorry, won 1 of them. Top 8'd 2 others, all with different decks.
Amazing.
Michael Wallio, your legacy player in the area. Oh,
Awesome.
wow.
What an awesome match. What an awesome backup match.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Very, very well played.
We got to see some things that we, don't typically see. So here we go into, that was our